telling each other, बच्चों को खेलने दो,
अयो.
बच्चों का ध्यान रखना है. It's like खुद तो बच्चे हैं.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Parenthoot, where we dive deep into real stories from real parents. Stories that are tender, raw, complicated, inspiring, and honest. I'm your host, Neha Garg, and I'm so thrilled you're here. Today's guest is someone who carries many identities with strength, clarity, and compassion. She is a change maker in the world of animal welfare, the founder of Neighborhood Woof, and an all weather advocate for those without a voice. But today, we are stepping into a more intimate space with her, the space of home, heart, and motherhood. I'm talking about Ayesha Christina, a twin mom, partner to the iconic Rahul Ram, yes, of Indian Ocean fame, and someone who, in her own words, didn't think her life could change this radically again after all the energy and love she's poured into her work with animals. But the arrival of her twin daughters in 2021 proved her wrong in the most beautiful way. She speaks of parenting as a mirror, as a teacher, and at times as complete chaos, one where patience stopped being a choice and joy began to live in the tiniest everyday details. So join us as we dive deep into Aisha's world. Aisha, welcome to Parenthood. I am so glad that you decided to say yes to us.
Thank you so much, Neha. That was such a sweet introduction. Thank you.
My pleasure. And to get us started, I'd love to begin with a question that takes us into the realm of imagination. If your life was a storybook, what would be the title of your story, and which chapter are you currently on?
Oh my God, I think that's an impossible question to answer. Because I constantly feel like life is a storybook. uh, and I don't know where the beginning or the end is, honestly. And in fact, that's probably why I mean, I've actually journaled so much, but it's all a journey.
Hmm.
And I think for me, there is, because age plays such a strange role in my life. I mean, Rahul's much older than me. My kids are much younger than me. I This idea that there are phases of things that happen in life, मैं सब कुछ उल्टा कर रही हूँ. Uh, I'm studying to be a veterinary assistant now.
Wow.
When it was time to study, I was off gallivanting around town. So I really actually would leave it open. And as for name of the book, I think trouble follows me everywhere. Or where trouble goes, I follow. The family that follows trouble.
Lovely, lovely. And I am so struck by something you said to me earlier, that you said you didn't expect anything to change your life so radically again. So tell me, if you had to describe Aisha before kids and Aisha now in maybe two, three words each, what would they be like?
I think the most important is so before Aisha had um, rarely thought of uh, the consequences,
Hmm.
in the sense that if I had to go and fight a battle, it was only me I had to think about.
Hmm.
I didn't worry, and I thought about my dogs. And what gave me a lot of peace was the fact that my dogs were there at home. But it was not something I was hopelessly attached to, in the
Hmm.
sense that I would like to believe that um, worse comes to worse, if I had to ever let go, I would let go with abandon.
Hmm.
That is so not the case now. I think my grandfather used to, when I was a young girl, 6 or 7, uh, every time he had an ECG, he used to tear up at
Hmm.
home. And I would understand that, and I would understand where it's coming from, but not completely.
Hmm.
I think he it was hit by his own mortality every time that happened. the desire to see one's offspring forever, uh, that changes.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of,
Discipline.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the last I would say is discipline. My parents have tried all their lives. Uh, in my organization, I defined the discipline,
Hmm.
but with and my girls remarkably are way more disciplined than I ever was. And my parents, Rahul, we're all like, okay, how did that happen? We don't know how it's happened.
Hmm. Yeah. So you talked about the girls. Tell us about the girls. Tell us something that makes them uniquely them, and tell us the story of their names.
So Manasi and Anand, and it's amazing. We didn't when they're born, there are no features.
Hmm.
Uh, Blob-like is what we never say out, but when they come out, they're they're blob-like. Uh, we gave them names that, as they grew, they have actually taken on. I mean, they look a lot like the people they're named after,
Hmm.
and they behave characteristics. I don't know how that happened. It's some mega coincidence. But Manasi was Rahul's mom.
Oh,
Manasi Krishna Benn. So Krishna comes from the same grandfather I just referred to,
yeah.
and was very close to my heart. And so Manasi Krishna, and she also Rahul's cousin's name. Also, it's a very sweet story, but Rahul's parents had a very, very, very close friend called Krishna Pishi. And in fact, Rahul's parents are not around, but Krishna Pishi is around. And
Oh,
my daughters have gone and met Krishna Pishi. Uh, it- in a way, she is their closest connection to their grandparents
right.
because they were friends back then. And there's a very sweet story when, in fact, Rahul's sister was born. Um, his mother had, I think the first baby they had miscarried. So when this girl was born, Rahul's mother didn't want to believe that she had delivered a healthy baby. And she didn't believe the doctor, she didn't believe her husband, but she believed Krishna Pishi,
Oh,
who had to be called on the old landline and come down and tell her that, you have delivered a healthy baby girl and everything's okay. So, a friendship and loyalty for whatever, 70 years, 80 years.
yeah.
So that's where Krishna comes from. And Anand Edna, Anand is again Professor S. Anand Lakshmi, who is again a friend of theirs, a very progressive lady who was a principal of Lady Irwin College. I don't know her personally. The other is again a cousin of Rahul's, who's a cardiac surgeon. So they have these influences of people around. And Edna comes from my grandmother, who I mean, I have amazing. She was one of the closest people I mean, I was closest to her in my family. I have an incredible soft spot for her. I was her first grandchild.
Oh,
So Edna comes from there, and it is crazy how much like Edna Anand actually is in her smiles and gestures. Manasi's cheeks. We have a photograph of Rahul's mom. I mean, I never met her because she passed before I entered his life, but the cheeks are like identical, and the smile, it's amazing. So that's where Manasi and Anand come from. And they are both actually named Ben, which
hmm,
is matrilineal because it comes from my mother's side.
hmm,
And it came from not rejecting our fathers or the fathers in our lives,
hmm,
but it came from actually saying, okay, let's accept that uh, that women have a much larger role to play in parenting than just that, and deserve names to be there.
Yeah.
So we decided to carry that forward. I took my mom's name, and my parents are separated. So I took my mom's name again, not to stand with her as such, but to make a statement about the fact that somewhere in all of this and running families, and I think that also did happened to my mom. And it's something I won't say I struggle with, I'm learning to cope with the different identities we have. And in fact, as you said, I have different identities. And that's not something that is always very easy to cope with.
Yeah.
And it can be very conflicting. There are entire personality disorders that are based on our inabilities to resign these different identities with each other.
Yeah.
And therefore, acknowledging the importance and role of motherhood and mothers in general. And then my husband was like, please, मैंने क्या किया है? And I was like, "हाँ, बिल्कुल, कुछ नहीं किया." So we fight about who is, as obviously, where all the good behavior is me, all the badmashi is him. And he says likewise, because when sometimes I say, oh my God, how are they so disciplined? And he's like, I something to do with it. But they have just taken over our lives, our dogs' lives. Uh,
Hmm.
our house is not a house that is geared for children,
Hmm.
all honesty.
Hmm.
Uh, One thing I distinctly notice in homes today, this wasn't necessarily the case when we were growing up, but we define spaces for children very clearly. There's a clean floor, we didn't have that luxury
Yeah.
with 11 dogs in the house. And I used to worry about that. But because I would worry that I'm subjecting my daughters and my offspring to the side effects of my work. My work can be very taxing also.
Yeah.
It's emotionally extremely draining. It's also very intensive, um, extreme joy, extreme sadness. Everything is in extremes.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy environment to grow up in, and I used to worry about them. But turns out that that's just in teaching them how to adjust to our home.
Hmm.
We've taught them a very valuable lesson about life altogether, and I didn't. It was completely by mistake in that sense. Um, they are turning out to be unbelievably compassionate children
Yeah.
already. And I am so proud of that. And I see that in them in so many little ways, not only with the dogs, but with other people as well. And I'll mention one story that happened just 2 days ago that particularly touched me.
Yeah.
But they've just taken over our lives in every single way possible and in a very beautiful way.
Hmm.
Uh, as I said earlier, our house functioned as a very individual nuclear unit.
Yeah.
Rahul and I are we give each other a lot of space and independence.
Hmm.
Both of us. We're not like chasing each other about, it's not possible between what I do and what he does.
Yeah.
And in fact, his schedules are, he's now started writing them down for me. Like his dad used to when he would go for his keynote, these things, because it'll start with आज मैं पुणे हूँ, बैंगलोर हूँ, तर से गुवाहाटी हूँ, चार दिन बाद यहाँ हूँ. And I realized that when I go out and meet people without him, and they're like, oh, how's Rahul? Where's he? I'm like, okay, Bangalore. And then someone will say, but I thought I just saw he was in Bombay. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. That was 3 days ago. So we get, and Rahul, again, I would say that just even saying that this is something remarkable about him. It is remarkable about him. I'm not saying because this particular aspect is something really special. It is how the world should be.
Hmm.
But the world isn't.
Hmm.
And he's someone who actually in his heart, and the two people, his sister and him, the two main women in his lives. And I think you would have the person he was married to before he was married to me also say the same thing.
Hmm.
And just to be clear, there is no negativity there. There's a happy, and in fact, that's another remarkable thing. We're friends, we live in the same neighborhood. She perhaps hangs out with my daughters, um, and she has a very, very special, unique place in their heart as well. So she's a very strong part of the family, even though they may not still be married. And that's something that's very important to me. Uh, because I mean, your relationship with somebody and somebody you say, "Acha, puri zindagi,"
Hmm.
should be larger than a contract. And
Right.
it would unnerve me if it was limited to a contract. Ki all this volume that we're sharing today, suppose it doesn't exist tomorrow.
Hmm.
Does that mean we don't value each other as human beings? Does that mean we don't respect her? Does that mean we don't love each other? That's not true.
Hmm.
So, coming back to the girls here and their life in this setup, which is not a very so my the part I was talking about, Rahul, um, not actually truly being completely gender sensitive. There
Hmm.
is no inequality here. I don't, he runs the house more than I do. He's way
Hmm.
better because he's older than I am at running the house.
Hmm.
Um, when he travels and comes back out, he's like, "Oh my God, the geezer's not working. The kooda kisi ne nahi kiya." That's the kind. And I am a lot of the things that traditionally women don't do.
Hmm.
Mechanic ke paas jana. It's a
Hmm.
please. ये हमारे
Hmm.
बस के बात नहीं है. The outdoorsy things are generally what I tend to take up because I'm out most of the time.
Right.
Again, coming back to this thing of letting people be.
Hmm.
One day he has called me while I've been releasing dogs at 12:30. I mean, I came back home, I had dinner, and I told him I'll be back in a few hours. This is before the kids.
Hmm.
And I left. I was in Budari, Ibrahimpur, in the middle of the night dropping dogs, getting lost. Fine. I'm very particular about dropping them back at exactly the right place.
Yeah.
It's a very, and in fact, that I'll come to that because the girls were born that way. There's a linked story there as well. But at 3:30, I finally gave up, came back home to the center because we couldn't find the addresses. And I opened the van's door so that the dogs were not cooped up in a box. And we were outside. So they were literally in cages inside, but with the door open.
Yeah.
Put out water for them so that they could calm down and sat down in my car right in front that was parked. And both Vipin and I, my colleague, we sat down in the front seats and we went to sleep. He was already asleep. And in fact, I remember he was like, Didi, please, aaj aap jo bhi kar lo. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. That's the kind of work that we used to do.
Yeah.
Note, I've not gone back home. I'm still at the center. Next morning, I wake up and I start releases again, and I lost my phone. So I couldn't say anything. I couldn't send any texts. At about 1:30 the next day, that afternoon,
Afternoon.
Rahul calls me on Vipin's phone and says, given that trouble follows you everywhere, you could have told me that you're not coming back in just a few hours and you're coming back at 1:30.
Hmm.
And that comes from safety. That comes from, I was worried about you. You are known to call me from a police station saying, I have a goat in the car, and I'm here getting beaten up. And so call me and tell me that, and it has happened to him.
Yeah.
Poor man has gotten to a flight and heard your wife is getting beaten up in the next neighborhood. What do
Hmm.
we do? And
Hmm.
he's like, I'm boarding a flight. What do I do? So I could understand his mind, but the and therefore I can also understand why an element of patriarchy is protectiveness.
Yeah.
And women need protection. And they do. They do because the world is unfair in so many different ways. And now I'm becoming even more aware of this as I'm raising two daughters.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different challenge teaching them to be able to look after themselves. And again, a lot of my confidence about as my mother used to say to me, wait till you get till my parents are absolutely delighted. They're like, revenge is a very sweet revenge is such a sweet dessert.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I understand that fear now,
Yeah.
that is related to that. So given all the fact that our everyday lives are not the normal things, Anand and Manasi have their ability to embrace that, grow along with it, and the personalities they are turning into, which we didn't see, we didn't foresee it, is really remarkable. They're intelligent, extremely funny. Um, they tell us what to do. They've got totally got my,
Yeah.
so I like to say that Anand has the I don't care about what. Okay, I've heard you, but you know, uh, the rebellious side of me that will listen to you, but still go ahead and do what you want to, what she wants to. And Manasi is the organized, everything needs to be a certain way side of me. Both have got their father's remarkable wit and intelligence, I think. Uh, we talk to them a lot. We don't baby talk.
Yeah.
So that's actually made them be able to express themselves much better.
Mm.
They form very clean, articulate sentences for
Yeah.
their age. They're able to, and I have been stressing a lot on being able to talk about feelings and being
Mm.
able to express feelings. I realize no one actually teaches you to do that. And no one actually teaches you what to do with your feelings.
Right.
Okay, you're feeling sad, yes, talk about it. You're feeling angry, yes, talk about it. I'm someone who doesn't know what to do with my anger. So it comes out in horrible ways and I resent it. And I've become more conscious of it for the first time, I think, because of becoming a mother. I don't want them to see it. I don't want them to face, I don't want them to feel as angry and helpless as I do when I'm angry.
Yeah.
So I've been desperately trying to teach them how to cope with that anger. And
Mm.
what do you do when you're sad? And I realize children are so much easier and sponge-like than when you're adults. Because when you're adults, you've experienced those things so many times and you've gone through those things so many times that they've kind of you've become set in your ways.
Yeah.
Like that plaster that dentists use to set your teeth.
Yeah.
They're just sat down, and it's very difficult to kind of move them around after. So, two instances about this that would also reflect on what is unique about these kids, which is the question you asked me. Uh, they actually, I've been told, Mama, you must not shout at us. You must tell us when you are upset. I'm having my language repeated right back at me. We had a dog called Tintin who came from Okla because a friend of mine reported that she had issues with she had an autoimmune disease that caused injuries on her ear and her uh, skin issues, and they looked like burns. So she came. She was treated by us. We kind of fed her and pumped her up a little bit, or spayed her, vaccinated her, and then when we went to the center because she was a really small immunocompromised dog, we said, okay, let her not be in the kennels all the time. The
Mm.
girls come with me to the center often enough.
Yeah.
Again, another remarkable thing. Imagine two toddlers with 60 dogs that are higher than them and
Yeah.
casually walking around. Hi, Sanjay. Hi, Phoenix. Very kind of uh, comfortable around them. And this dog went up to Manasi, and Manasi said, "Oh, what a sweet dog." Again, she's picked up all our languages. She understood that this dog needs comfort. The dog understood Manasi's petting and so on, and really attached to her. And I brought, after Tintin recovered from her incisions, I brought her home to take her to let her gain a little more strength, observe her myself before dropping her back home. And Tintin, of course, blended into the family like she's always been here. And we have a little Habibi who is also with us right now, who is actually now Anand and Mansi's sibling because they're roughly the same
Wow.
age. And so and they for them, Habibi is the first baby in the house. So
Oh.
they think they are looking after Habibi. All their veterinary practice and imaginary vet games happen on poor Habibi. Actually loves every bit of it. But we drop Tintin. I prepare them for when something is happening. Baba is going out, he's going in the aeroplane, or mom's not going to be here. So I said Tintin is now going to go back home. And the next day, I told them I'll take you with me when we
Hmm.
drop Tintin home. It's not easy. I have still, the fact that my house has 11 dogs should tell you that I have not learned how to let go
Yeah.
as well. So I took them with me. I said, here I'm going to start early because Rahul's hair is growing whiter by the day, saying, okay, if this is the rate of intake, where are we going to be? And now there's three of you to reckon with, not one. So we dropped her, and Tintin had, much to all our surprise, a remarkable. I wasn't surprised because I've done this literally, and this is not an imaginary number, more than 21,000 times.
Wow.
Gone out and released dogs out on the street. And they are so happy
Hmm.
when they go back to their original locations. And there's like this victory lap where they go and the males will usually go and pee on every corner that they
Yeah.
used to reestablish. And this Tintin went and greeted all her friends, dogs, humans, chaiwala, vendors. Yeah. So they actually watched this, and I could see very mixed, like they love the joy and they're like, oh, and Anand, they're very expressive, and you know how children, they use great. So to continue with so Tintin, Manasi, with the tears brimming just at the lids as you're
Ayo.
used to, says, Mama, but I like Tintin. And
Mhm.
of course, I was all set with my response about how Tintin is at home, and I was going to start my mothering. And my other daughter chimed in and says, Manasi, I know you like Tintin. I like Tintin also. But see, Tintin is so happy. I like Tintin to be happy.
Oh.
This is a 3.5-year-old kid. And I don't know when exactly we passed that message on, but I know that kids don't function like that. And mine are also not.
Yeah.
They put their needs always ahead of this. They can't. They don't have the ability to um, look at other people's. That comes a little later.
Yeah.
But I realize it's already because the constant, don't step on the tape. Maybe watch it. She's also feeling pain.
Yeah.
That lesson has crossed over, and that you take another person's account. I also think it's twins. I think it's
Yeah.
also growing up next to each other and realizing that one has to pave way for what the other wants as well. So the
Yeah.
combination of the two, and they are, I'm thinking of skipping school. I think they're like ready to go to college. But that, in a nutshell, kind of summarizes where they are at
Yeah.
in terms of communicating. And the same with, again, feelings and people leaving. And I think just a few days back, we had the same lesson about people because well, I don't consider her my niece because we're not that different in age, but she is my niece.
Hmm.
Rahul's niece was here, and um, it was really touching. She spent 2.5 to 3 hours with the girls. She lives in Pune, so she was here visiting. And I was so amazed by. So Anand suddenly, Mishti was leaving, broke into tears, and was really. We've not seen her break down like that. I want Mishti. Mishti mustn't. But we taught her how to say it, and we were really impressed. And Mishti is a psychologist, so for her,
Oh.
she was also impressed by this little girl turning around and saying, uh, "I want Mishti to stay. I don't want Mishti to leave, and Mishti Didi should stay with me." And as later that night and over the next 2 nights, in the night during story time, I explained to her that we feel sad when people leave, and sometimes we want to go with them, and when we don't know what to do, and that makes us feel like crying. or sometimes it makes us angry. So, and that's about then how you deal with those feelings. We can send them a message, we can call them up and talk to them the next day. And when you're feeling sad, pick up and do something with your time. We can go and color. What do you like doing? Do something that you like doing. Or see Amavas Didi's here, you can go and hug her. By the way, Amavas Didi, Oe Mama, Puke Masi. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
The zoo we are in. And actually, it's way better than a zoo because everyone's actually free.
Yeah.
Uh, so, that in a not so much of a nutshell describes the girls as they are and where they are in their lives right now, which is so much curiosity, so much. We can see them learning and grasping things every day,
Yeah.
and it's a very delicate balance between wanting to be their friends and playing this role of parenting. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Everyone is always telling me, Aisha, my friends in school also, my God, this girl is such a mother. She will like, I looked after everybody. Uh,
Hmm.
if girls were out and traveling, I was the designated driver or the designated, drunk college girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always part of the group that hauled them back into the bus at the end.
Yeah.
Uh, just kept track of everybody else and so on. And I never thought, I mean, I thought I would embrace it when it came to my own kids. Aha, Ab meri, I can do this my way. Actually, that makes you a lot more nervous about
Yeah.
every single decision that you make. Is this the right message I'm passing on? Is this the right thing I'm doing? Is this the right way to go? I've never second guessed myself as much as I have as a parent. And that's the biggest change. That's the change I've seen. And otherwise, overconfidence would be the word that my teachers used to use to describe me. A lot of my friends would use to describe me.
Yeah.
Aggressively overconfident. I think that's changed now
Hmm.
with them.
And you were telling us about the story of their birth. So take us through that.
So that was uh, one of the craziest nights I've had. So without getting too much into, otherwise this will become a completely a work heavy interview. But in a nutshell, I sterilize and vaccinate dogs in the city, and I think that what sets us apart as an organization is the quality we bring to the program. And we decided that we're not going to, in India, in animal welfare, it's still not very veterinary science as well as practice uh, is not as evolved
Yeah.
in terms of a lot of things. So, for example, resident doctors become residents, then they become junior, senior. They go through this whole pecking order before they're let loose on a human being. That's not the case with veterinary medicine. You get to intern on 6 months, and it's entirely upon your instructor or your mentor, the doctors there, to be interested and invested in teaching you. Otherwise, you won't learn. So we were part of this exercise is ensuring that the dog goes exactly back to the right place, and a lot of times they don't. People give us the wrong addresses, and people being the municipality zonal catchers in this case. And the first few years we said, okay, something's not right here. They can't be picking up 200 dogs from this area, uh, and we're just releasing them indiscriminately like this. Something, my instincts told me something's not right. And sure enough, you can make out from the dogs, even if you're not a great reader of animal behavior, that they're not, this is not okay. So we started getting to the bottom of it. And the bottom of it, if, as I said, I don't want to get into too much of that because then that's a whole different interview.
Yeah.
Uh, but and an equally remarkable, I would feel an equally remarkable one because of the just the unbelievable things we've had to do to get basic protocols followed in our country. So we finally, after nothing worked, we went to the conservation assistant of the Red Fort. We told him that aisa hai, this is happening, and as a result, more dogs that don't belong to the Red Fort are being thrown in here. So he insisted that the CISF and CRPF guys actually take photos, and the zonal catchers take photos, and they come to us. And he insisted on the dogs being brought to us. So we would ensure zonal catchers with every dog. We insisted on it on the first and second day, and then they made sure that they would bring photographs of these dogs. And here, the animal welfare community was furious with me. You should take a stand about them not picking up these sterilized dogs. That should be the stand. Why aren't you doing that? And I know that, and as we have seen happen repeatedly, happen during G20, when there's national pride and international delegates, come on, we're picking up and throwing humans out of the public view and main routes. If you, it's not about placing humans and dogs below humans, but the reason of stressing that point is, if they're doing this to humans, do you think they are likely to give a damn at all about the dogs? So, what do you want more? Do you want
Mhm.
to stick to your guns and let those dogs just die, because that's what happens? A lot of them die. Or would we rather say, okay, if you're going to pick them up in the least cruel way possible, and ensure that they drop back and participate personally in it? That's what I
Right.
could do. And that's what mattered to me, because that is what I could do to stop that relocation. Those
Yeah.
other people weren't there with me when I was when I was dropping those dogs back the previous times. They
Yeah.
don't connect with that individual dog's misery the way I do. So I said, I'm going to do this. And that actually allowed us to drop for at least 4 years. The exercise happened beautifully with every single dog going back from where they were picked up. And we have like hours and hours of documented footage of this, which someday that book for all the little stories we saw there. A Viklang human and a Viklang dog at the Red Fort, both equally homeless, both equally crippled, have in the middle of this hopeless world found each other. Who
Hmm.
are we to separate them? And it gave me such joy to be able to reunite them. A thela wala who lets his thela be the dog's bed in the night.
Yeah.
So this dog gets off the van and says, "Acha, mera thela," and hops onto this cart and wagging his tail and licking his face. Those were great stories. So in the middle of this, I couldn't let go. And in 2021, with my fat belly, which is with twins, in my they were supposed to be born on 22nd September, which is Rahul's birthday, incidentally. They came on 17th August. So 16th night we start, 15th night we start releasing dogs. 16th night we start releasing dogs. And on the 15th night incident, I was at the police station because someone had been violent with a dog. And a 8-month-old pregnant woman at a police station is sends most policemen into, we don't know what to do with this. But and we were there to complain about a dog being beaten up. The eye had popped out. So it was not a small thing. And I did it because it was next door to our neighbor. And I wanted to send a message across that it's not acceptable. And there is a human being beaten on his soles because I think he was drugged, or he was a druggie that was not making sense. And the police thought that somehow if they beat him, he'll make beat sense out of him. And they were whacking him. And this gentleman looked at me and my big stomach, and he looked at the gentleman at the reception, and he's like, "Why is she standing here?" And then when that gentleman said about a dog, he just lost his thing. He's like, "Get her out of my station right now." And I said, "Well, it's not your station. Where would you expect me to come with a complaint?" And I've come here. I mean, I read in the papers, and I'm standing there with 20 people staring at us, then telling him that I read in the papers today morning about brutality in police stations. The judge, the CGI, actually made a comment about this, and about police brutality and how violent Delhi police is. And I'm getting to see it here firsthand in action. I've come here to complain to you about violence against a creature, and this is what I see in your station. So sputtering and furious, he looked at that guy and he said, "Just take her complaint and send her away." So we did get that complaint taken in, and we actually did resolve it pretty quickly. We made that gentleman come and work at our center for 5 days. That was
Wow.
our because sending him into a system that is not going to act. I mean, people haven't been booked for beating me, 70 people who've beaten me. I have very little faith left in our judicial system. There is a lot of faith in it
Hmm.
and in fact, there is the only hope now is that judicial system. But when I see things like this, there is a lot that needs to happen much faster than it happens. So, with this background, the next day and after this night, one eventful night, next day we go releasing dogs. A bed had been put at my center so that I could rest whenever I wanted to. My feet would swell up a lot. So I kept working, and I was told that you work till your last day because that'll keep you as healthy as possible and help you retain the natural fitness you have because of the work that you do. So it's about 11:30 at night, and we finished one round of releases, and we're off for the second. My team gently came and said, "Didi, khana kha le?" I said, "Oh, bhul, हाँ खा लेते." So we decided to order khana, and we were eating khana between. So I went to lie down, and suddenly I felt this strange plug, um, and I didn't expect that. I unfortunately did not read about what exactly happens at that moment of water breaking. I did everything else, but what I'm supposed to feel when my water actually breaks. So I felt this strange plug, and then I look and I can feel my pants are a little wet. So I asked Vipin to go and get me some gauze and sterile gauze from the center. And by the time that gauze came, my pants were completely drenched. So I called Rahul, and he's sleeping at home. And I say, "Okay, my pants are completely drenched." And he's like, "Oh, God." Like, trust you to always, like, in the middle of this. So then I asked him, "So tell me, so this is water breaking?" And he's like, "Yes." Good. Ask the boys to take you to the hospital. I'll see you there. Then I said, "But tell me, what exactly is that water?" So he was like, "Woman, what are you doing? What did you read? What have you been reading all this while?" No, I'm asking because I want to understand how much time I have. And he's like, why? I said, because मैं ये वाले round भी करके आ जाती हूँ ना एक और, because after this I'm out of action. He's like, you shut up and get to the hospital. So we reached the. I said, okay. So I step out, and in the meantime, Vipin, who is my colleague, was immediately told me, had been trained by Rahul's sister. You call me immediately when this happens, and she had explained the process to him instead of me. So he understood what was supposed to happen and was all set to take me to the hospital and getting ready. And I step out of the station with my belly and my pants wet. And who do I encounter again but that famous Delhi police, this time on motorcycles. And young constable, beat constable clearly. And I always joke, clearly they became constables yesterday because their uniforms are all neat and clean as opposed to the worn down. And the gentleman behind him was, of course, the older, pot-bellied, your caricature of a middle-aged police officer. And the guy in front, क्या कर रही है यहाँ पे? And I think that is when the all my mixed feelings and everything, my that was the transition between old and new. I I was like बच्चे दे रही हूँ. And इनको बोलूं कि सही करेक्ट अप्रोप्रिएट टाइम जब लड़कियों को बाहर होना चाहिए तब आए. So the guy behind him, of course, immediately was like, "Nee, nee, madam, sorry." I said, "You should be asking me if I need help, not what I am doing here at 12:30 in the night outside my own center." So anyway, that is how Anand and Manasi came into this world. We reached the hospital, and 3 hours later, it was amazing how uh, quiet, and quietly they came into the world actually.
Hmm.
And my doctors and my both the pediatrician as well as my surgeon were just exceptional in looking after me and calming me down. My pediatrician, Dr. Atul Agarwal, I told him, for me, I was told later it was his voice I heard, but it felt like the voice of God telling me, please don't, because I must have been quivering on that table. It's a very, no one tells you this, it's a very alarming thing. So I was really shaking, and he just, I heard the, okay, it is equally our responsibility to keep you out of pain as it is delivering you healthy children. And I realized I had never, ever, ever articulated it. But
Hmm.
the way we talk about childbirth and parenting and so on, it's completely focused on the kids.
Yeah.
And therefore, you believe nobody's thinking about you at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just taken for granted. So it was really nice to hear my doctor tell me, reassure me that equally important that to us is keeping you out of pain. It's not only getting your kids out. We care about keeping you out of pain. Imagine we need to be reassured about
Yeah.
this. But we do. I really believe we do. And I remember my eyes closed and I passed out. I don't remember anything. I remember waking up in this blurred vision. I could see my doctor in a distance. I think I must have been asking for pain meds. And my nurse told me, "आपकी दो बेटियां हुई है." And
Oh.
I heard that and I went right back to sleep. I was so, because one of my biggest, now that they're here, I will say it with as open a heart as possible. From the day I discovered that I was going to have babies, and I discovered they were going to be twins on my birthday. So it was like the best birthday present nature could give me. Um, I wanted girls. I've been so clear about the fact that I wanted girls. That it was very important to me, to the point where I wondered what I would do if I had a boy. My friends who've helped me bring them up at home, Abhishek and Vipin, in addition to Rajni and Poonam, who are at home, who look after most of the domestic work at home. Abhishek and Vipin stay with me, are equally a part of our parenting journey. They work with me, and all of this happened somewhere during lockdown, right? 2021,
Yeah.
2020. The three of us actually got COVID together, so we were locked up in the house. Rahul was up in the hills. I mean, a lot, the world has changed a lot since 2018 to now.
Yeah.
The whole pandemic happened in between. And I've been able to do this so effortlessly thanks to their help as well. It would not have been possible. I mean, a lot of people are like, how do you make it look so effortless? And sometimes I also wonder how it's not effortless at all. It takes a lot and lot and lot of work. But it's been made possible because that they say, no, it takes a village
Yeah.
to raise kids. It's true. I've had the most exceptional help and unconventional. One wouldn't imagine, 25-year-old boy, 27-year-old boy being the best choice for looking after kids.
Hmm.
And the same for Vipin. He's a younger, again, one wouldn't choose him as a natural this thing, but both of them, interestingly, come from. Uh, so Abhishek's mom, she runs something called Karammar, which is a children's home
Yeah.
that looks after about 50 to 60 kids. And Vipin grew up in one of those homes.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
One of those, at the one home that they have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Vipin and his brother Deepak. Deepak also works with us. He is an artist by profession, but he also works with us, and he's able to sustain the periods where he's not commissioned for his art uh, at our center, being the kind of bada bhaiya who supervises the staff and also participates a lot in our work. The inclusion of them in the girls' lives have also brought, again, a certain element of diversity,
Hmm.
varying backgrounds. respect across that for each other. It's people that matter. Uh, and Veena's upbringing of these kids has always been that it's not that you're underprivileged, it's not that you are lacking in opportunity, but uh, you've been through a lot, you've been through trauma, and it's how we tackle that and deal with it and cope with it and what we choose to do with it that counts.
Yeah.
And that's what they focus on. And unlike most children's homes that I've been to, it's a very happy place, very
Yes.
vibrant place.
Yes.
And there I will say one thing again. I was so touched when I took my girls there to celebrate Karammar's birthday. On the trampoline, in my own fancy neighborhood park, I have to worry about my daughters being bullied.
Hmm.
I've had 15-year-old boys tell them, मैं तुझे कूट दूंगा.
Hmm.
I've had 13-year-old girls step on their hands on a jungle gym to get them off. It's horrifying. The way I see these kids talk to their house help and people around, forget wishing the gardener or namaste to a guard. That's out of their existence, ambit. But um, so this is a scenario in my fancy neighborhood with super privileged kids, right?
Hmm.
And there we are at Karamad on a trampoline, which is and kids jumping on it. And my daughter saw it and were like went straight for it. And five of those kids who were 2 or 3 years older than Anand and Manasi promptly moved back, telling each other, बच्चों को खेलने दो,
Ayyo.
बच्चों का ध्यान रखना है. It's like खुद तो बच्चे हैं. So sweetly, बच्चों का ध्यान. That comes from parvarish, and that parvarish is so important. Uh, where I wouldn't let and I know these very same people, had they to go to Karamad, they would treat those children there. They wouldn't let their kids be on that trampoline.
Yeah.
That's the level of discrimination that exists in our society. They would not consider it fit for their kids. But I look at that upbringing, and so therefore, I try my best, and I'm so grateful that I have personalities that have grown up from here,
Yeah.
influenced these kids. Manasi has picked up her art from Deepak. She's got his
Hmm.
that constant engagement with. She can paint for an entire hour. In
Wow.
fact, we got a little alarmed the other day because her teacher called me in the middle of the day and said, okay, she's wet herself actually because she's painting. And we thought, okay, is this an attention thing? And we both have been connecting with her, and we realized actually it was just not. She was just so
Engrossed.
engrossed in her painting that and we try to minimize the change in routine instead of
Hmm.
panic around
Hmm.
that event. So I didn't go and bring her back early. We sent a change of clothes to school itself. The school has wonderful didis and so on, so they dealt with that. But it was incredible to see her just be so engrossed in something. So to see that influence about uh, we are to think about other people,
Yeah.
that message reinforced
Yeah.
uh, is a wonderful influence on their lives and makes all the difference to raising kids in a city.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And Aisha, you've talked so much about your kids. Now I want to talk about you a little bit, with these twin girls, a home full of dogs, and your leadership role in animal welfare. You have a lot going on. How do you carve out space for yourself amidst all this? Is me time even a concept you relate to anymore?
Actually, yes, it's
Hmm.
become very important to me,
Hmm.
and it's become important to me because there is so less of it.
Hmm.
Earlier, I sit back. I went to the D school the other day in the Delhi University, and I saw all these young. I haven't connected with the fact that I'm 38 yet. In my head, I'm much younger than I am.
Yeah.
And when I see other 38-year-olds, like especially the parents, some of the parents I interact with, they seem much older than I am in my head, and exhausted. And I think again that's because of the work I do. It's like if you see me on a regular day, there'll be a bag, there'll be a dog, there'll be a baby, uh, something else, and I'm kind of it's part of my life. It's not. I've learned. to deal with it. And actually, it's the chaos the dogs brought that made the twins also a lot easier for me, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
10 years of training has stood me really well.
Yeah.
But um, I realize that if I don't take that me time, I'm getting lost.
Hmm.
And I'm not being able to focus. I'm not being able to decide what it is that what's the next step. And it's very easy in my life to get lost in daily chores and daily tasks. At the center there's my tasks, there's neighborhood wolves tasks, there's the children's tasks. My job list is a joke. If anyone look at it like, okay, that's not happening, Aisha, in the day. But that is it, and I like it. So I have been taking that time out. It's usually in the middle of the night, which is why I look like I'm really groggy and sleepy right now. It's usually till I'm up, and that's the time I get to actually also work, put down my thoughts, uh, get some peace and quiet.
Hmm.
Uh, this time right now, when the kids are away at school, is especially cherished time. Not because I want them away from me. I miss them when they're at school,
Yeah.
but one needs some distance as well
Yeah.
from, and I think they also need it. That independence is important for them. I'm actually considering online schooling. I don't
Hmm.
want to send them to school uh,
Hmm.
right now, at least. I want them to be older before they get into the outside world. So I'm bracing myself for more time with them at home, and two girls there.
Hmm.
But and we're also thinking of doing this not in Delhi but in the hills, because
Hmm.
it's better for them to be able to breathe better quality air, open space, security, the dogs. So that me time is factored in there uh,
Hmm.
automatically. It's my choice to go to the hills. It's my choice. I mean, otherwise I would limit myself, right, and say, "Nahi, nahi, bhai. Who has this?" People are looking at me like and saying, how are you believing you have this luxury? And especially the older generation of my matriarchs, who I love. I don't mean any offense to them. I love them, and I count on them for advice. And it's like constantly telling me what I should be doing or not thinking about or not taking into account. Uh, and they're like, "How are you believing that you have this independence? Do not put them into school."
Yeah.
And I'm not going to put them into school. I want to live in the mountains, and I think that we can get them an excellent education there as well if we try
Hmm.
and breathe. So it's not only for me; it's also them, but it's also me.
Yeah.
And there of course is connected an automatic. We want to have a little pet friendly home for dogs, a pet friendly place for people to leave their dogs when they travel. That need is coming up in the hills. So imagine work and home being roughly the same thing. So those are how we work around um, time. As I said, I'm doing a veterinary assistant course. That is what I look at as me time.
Uh-huh.
And everyone I know is like, okay, there is something wrong with you, because you have right in the middle of, we've done a major project right now by turning around a government infrastructure. It's the center that we operate in is a municipality owned premises.
Yeah.
But we've been struggling with bad infrastructure for so long that this time we went out for 2 years. We've been actively fundraising, and we just decided to overhaul the infrastructure on our own. In the bang middle of that, and 3.5-year-old girls and the 11 dogs and all of this, I've decided is the perfect time to do my vet assistant. So that is how it's saying no, it has to happen. And me time is no less important than all the other things that I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finding that time.
Yeah.
The other me time is making sure that I go and get to pet all my 11 dogs, for
Yeah.
instance. That is part of my, it's very important to me to be able to do that. I regret not being able to spend as much time with my oldest dog, Lufi, who I cannot believe I've actually spoken for almost an entire hour without bringing her up,
Hmm.
because she is. as central to our lives as as my daughters are today. She's gone, but she's still as central to our lives. She was a force of nature. I identified a lot in her, and I say, if I could, to me, if you ask me, who do you aspire to be,
Oh.
and who do you want to be, and what is the personality that you would like to be, it would be my dog. Uh, and I'll have just one because one story about her
Yes,
personality that I would
please.
like to share specifically with all women out there. So we were in uh, Ladakh, up in Pangong, and Somoriri, the second highest altitude lake, but actually the highest altitude lake that is completely in India.
Hmm.
Everyone's excited more about Pangong because of its size and so on, but this one is actually the highest altitude lake in that is completely in India. So we are up at some crazy 12,000 feet, and Lufi is with us, and she has suddenly gone off and disappeared off the cliff. And we're on a cliff, and it's a good like 30 feet drop or perhaps more to this gorgeous, extremely intimidating uh, blue lake in the middle of that expanse, right? And I'm panicking. A young parent,
Yeah.
imagine newborn parent, young parent, saying, "Oh my God, you can't let her out of your sight." Remembering all the stories I've been told, don't let your dogs out of your sight. How can you let her out of your sight? And my husband and Rahul is, let her. Why have you brought her here? You don't want her to enjoy herself. Let her be. So they both these, and she, madam, disappeared for about half an hour and sniffed around. We are running around searching, and it's what was unnerving is it's this really vast. You can see the other end of the lake. So why
Hmm.
can't I see my dog? And
Hmm.
I was convinced she was at the bottom of Somariri by the end of it, and I was in tears. And it's going to start the car and move. At which point, it's the car, casually with the tip of the tail wagging. And she came back, huh? What are you guys so hustled about? And then we were walking off. There's a huge herd of sheep that were walking by, bhedus as they're called there. And behind them came this massive, almost four times the size of Lufi, this shepherd's dog. Incidentally, Lufi is a term coined by Ashim, who was in Rahul's band, who died years ago, which was lustful Sufi, a
Oh.
Sufi who couldn't let go of her lust. So uh, he was so right, as we discovered, because she saw this dog, and like her mother, she said, I can't keep my hands off this dog. And she went straight to him and, slowly, tentatively, because he was huge, and I would have gone tentatively as well, and holds her head up as high as possible. And he also stops, freezes, tail stiff. All the signs that tell us, okay, this is not good news. And both their noses, for just like about 10 seconds, their noses kind of touch absolutely still. And then he broke into play. And she was like, paw comes out and flirt, butt in his face, this, oh my God, you want to play? And then they had this 15 seconds of play, after which he ruffles himself up and says, मैं जा रहा हूँ. I have work to do. तुम्हारी तरह नहीं हो. And ruffles his coat and all set off to follow his herd of sheep. And Luffy, I expected her to actually just follow him. She didn't. Guess what she did? She went and sat looking at the lake in the direction he had come from, saying, man, I'm sure there are more that are going to arrive here. ये जहां से भी आया था और आए होंगे जरूर और आएंगे. So she just decided to park and perch herself at the. We have a gorgeous photograph of us sitting there waiting for the next guy to come along. That's the dog I want to be.
Nice, nice. And thank you for bringing her story into this conversation, Aisha. You talked about me time, you talked about doing so much. I'm also very interested to know, on days when it all feels like too much, when probably because of the kind of work you do, you're ready to, you talked about anger, you talked about feeling helpless when you're ready to, maybe tear all your hair out kind of a situation. Is there something that you hold on to or, come back to center yourself?
The dogs, the
Hmm.
babies, and the work that I do.
Hmm.
Rahul,
Hmm.
stability, a gentle reminder of all that there is.
Yeah.
That is so healing. It really is, and I'm so glad you mentioned it because it is as much a part of my identity.
Hmm.
Anger, trauma, pain, and there are various cycles of trauma that I'm desperately trying to break with my daughters as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do
Hmm.
because you realize that all the things that you don't that were done to you that you may not necessarily want to carry forward,
Yeah.
you and like the teeth I was talking about that kind of gets set. You have to, there are some aspects where you have to really step back and tell yourself no, this is
Hmm.
not okay, this is not how it works. um, the other day I really I mean one of the hair tearing moments that you're talking about, um, and I realized that my daughters sense it. So
Hmm.
they sense it. They're just acutely aware of my expressions. They know when their mom is angry, happy, sad, and therefore that bothers me because sometimes I feel they feel the burden of making me happy, and I don't want them to feel that.
Yeah.
I want them to be good girls. So sometimes this is what I say. Lessons get confused.
Yeah.
Uh, Crying is a bad thing? No. Crying for small things is a bad thing.
Hmm.
Crying for silly things, crying for tantrums is a bad thing. But if you're feeling sad or upset or hurt or angry, then crying is okay. And I have not only have those conversations with them, but try and illustrate it also. So they ask me, if they see me crying, they ask me, and I answer them honestly. I never lie to them about why I'm crying, um, and they accept that. And in fact, I'm amazed by the advice that comes back my way sometimes, because it's so innocent and so clean, and I actually almost always follow it. Uh, the same I feel about. I really lost my cool, and I raised my voice, and I was feeding Anand, and they're actually very good kids. They're not cranky about food. Right in the very beginning, as I could see that stubborn wala stage start, I decided to give them choices,
Hmm.
this or this, but one, but either or में से एक को आपको खाना पड़ेगा. A school also, they have 2 meals at school. That's another added. So I lost my cool and I raised my voice, and I know she got really alarmed by it, and she didn't like it. And I promptly got the behavior I wanted, in the sense they went about their business, we ate their food, but later on in the night, I apologized to her. I said, "I'm sorry. I know that you got upset with Mama for scolding you and screaming at you, and screaming is not good. Mama shouldn't scream. She asked you not to scream, but she also shouldn't scream." I think sometimes accepting your faults in front of, I don't know, I will realize this when they're older.
Yeah.
Uh, but so far, what I'm seeing in how they respond to what they're seeing. As I
Yeah.
said, they pick up much faster, they absorb much faster, and I'm hoping that these repeated lessons in time will help them be able to be better adults than all of us are at coping mechanisms. That's the aim at the end of the day, to help them. I think as much as protecting, you want to protect your kids from everything. But
Yeah.
I think in doing that, sometimes you prevent them from um, coping, learning how to cope,
Hmm.
developing coping mechanisms. If they have everything and everything is hunky dory and pretty, then they will not know what to do in distress. That doesn't mean we manufacture distress,
Yeah.
but we perhaps expose them to it in a protected environment, just for the purpose of teaching them how to cope with it.
Yeah.
I think that really works. So I see that working much more.
Hmm.
And I see that feedback come back to me from them in ways that they, little ways. Okay, Mama, see, I did that. 3 days later, I'll be told, see, Mama, I did this or I didn't do this.
Hmm.
Uh, and okay, so when you, by mistake, your hand may touch somebody or you may jump, what kids do all the time, right? And sometimes it hurts and
Yeah.
they get hurt and kids cry when they're hurt. So we've taught them to understand the difference between somebody hurt you by mistake and it's not that they did it deliberately and they were out to hurt you.
Right.
So we say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that, or I'm sorry I dropped that, or I'm sorry I fell. We do that, and now they do it back to us.
Hmm.
I'm sorry I hurt you, Mama. I'm sorry I fell down.
Hmm.
So, illustrating behavior. And on that note, I'd say one thing: friendship.
Hmm.
Rahul and I both individually have lots of friends,
Hmm.
together and individually. There was a time when we were out almost every second night, back home late in the night, which is not the case now, of course. But because that is not the case now, and we don't illustrate friendship to them, we can't show them. They don't see Rahul interacting with his friends. They don't see mom interacting with her friends. Uh, I think that's a very big role and has some role to play in them also being very happy with each other. They
Hmm.
will still not come back with home with school, bachcho ke naam. So
Hmm.
many, I mean, they're all touching four now. And they'll say, "Yeah, I have friends in school. I did this with my friend. What's your friend's name?" Nothing.
Hmm.
I don't know. And I realized the other day I went and hung out with a friend of mine who, was trying to be all suave, single man. Ah, beta, आप ना जूस मुझसे आके मांगना मम्मी से मत मांगना. I come and ask me and I said हाँ हाँ ठीक है no problem. तो 1 घंटे में ना he's like मम्मा ये लो जूस आप मम्मा से पूछ लेना. I said there's a reason why one defers things to mothers. They know how to, with both of them. And I've taught them how to say the magic words, right? So I will say the magic words, please, 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 may I have this? Manasi is very smart the other day. So he was offering her a chocolate. And I said, what are the magic words? Chocolate. Chocolate. So that's very important. Illustrating. So the moment she saw that evening, and she saw we dropped, I went to my friend's house to drop the dog. She saw me interacting with my friend. She was introduced that this is Anu Masi, this is Anando, these are. She came back home to me in the night. Mama, these are your friends. You like your friends. You play with your friends. And so on. So I think it's equally important to illustrate behavior. Rahul keeps checking me. He's like, you can't be having all your harassed phone calls because we watch you
In front.
very closely. When you're talking to each other, you don't realize you're angry. Your voice is animated, but it's bothering them. And it's true, it does.
Yeah.
And that's actually my biggest thing right now. Learning to contain those days that my hair is falling apart.
So, on that note, is there a version of you that only comes out in front of the children, or only the children get to see? Is there a part of you, personality wise, or identity wise?
I wouldn't say. I think because of the dogs also, no?
Hmm.
ऐसा नहीं है. I try and be my, yes, a better version of myself for
Hmm.
them. Definitely, most definitely. But I don't think so. I think they. I am in fact reminded of my closest friend in school. We used to be up to like mad antics,
Hmm.
like uh, uh, down to giggling in the middle of the night with a hand shower, saying this is how men pee. Completely like inane uh, behavior. Like my father, poor man, would go nuts because he would be like, these girls just talk non-stop and they talk all the way. Like if he was ever sitting in the car with us, that goofy, let your hair down. laugh at silly, absolutely ridiculous jokes, completely nonsensical conversation. The kind I think I had with her, and I still can if I connect with her. And we kind of meet and talk, and we can be right back at where we left off. I think that is the relationship I have with the kids.
Wow, wow, how
We're
beautiful.
also friends. I love that they think we're friends. Because they
Hmm.
pointed it out the other day to me, Mama, we're friends.
Hmm.
Because I asked who your friend. Mama is my friend. Baba is my friend. Vipin's my friend. Abhishek's my friend. So we
Yeah.
are their friends.
Yeah, yeah. And is there I'm so interested because
Also, one moment.
yes, please.
It's the one side of me they see is absolutely naked me.
Uh-huh.
Because I have a bath with both my girls.
Hmm.
And that has been a lesson for me as well as them in body positivity, being comfortable around ourselves and comfortable with our bodies.
Hmm.
And everything. For example, I don't think anyone else in the world has seen what my sanitary napkin looks like. It's such
Hmm.
a wonderfully personal thing. By
Hmm.
the way, both the girls now talk about period. They don't talk that would be wrong. They don't talk about periods, but they understand that women wear diapers every now and then
Hmm.
that have blood in them because they saw
Hmm.
the blood and they said, "Mama, are you hurt?" And I
Hmm.
said, "No." And I tried no alarm in the voice, no,
Yeah.
freaking out, and just very casually said, "This happens to girls. It'll happen to you when you grow up, and mom will teach you what to do then." So they're very sensitive now to, for example, all I need to say is, "Okay, girls, I'm sorry, I uh, won't be able to, please don't jump on my stomach right now because I have my period." Or, "Anand, would you walk on my back because my back is hurting? I have my period." She's like, "Yeah, mama, are you okay?" So
How
that is a
beautiful.
part of me that no one else sees, that they see.
Yeah, this reminds me of I don't want to make this conversation about me and my son, but this reminds me of a instance where I was using a sanitary napkin and he happened to be in the bathroom, and then he asked me, and he's just 2 years old, and he asked me, "What is this?" And I said, "जैसे आप डायपर पहनते हो वैसे मम्मा कभी कभी डायपर पहनती है," and things like that. And he's like, "Okay, मम्मा का डायपर, okay." And then he just went and he said to his dad that, "Papa, I saw mama's diaper." And that's it. And as you said, with no alarm, if you make it normal for the kids,
Yes,
you normalize the whole
absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was in class three, my first experience with periods. I was in class three when this girl came running into the bathroom, thinking she was dying.
Hmm.
And I remember feeling, again, I can articulate this now. How are you so paranoid about this whole, taboo subject, including one's sexuality?
Hmm.
Moving on from puberty to sexuality. How are you so worried about it to the point that you're willing to traumatize your own kids
Yes.
rather than have them aware about what is happening to them so that
Yes.
they can do something about it? And
Yes.
that's the most, what is more important than your body?
Yes.
What is more important? I don't know. For
Yeah.
a dog, the dog's body is the most important. For me, my body, what is more important? That there is nothing in the world that is more important than your body. And I think it's important that one acknowledges that the me time you talk about, one acknowledges that it's not only about time, it's
Hmm.
about, "This is my body, I need to take care of it." And therefore I think it really made me very angry, even back then. So I explained to this little girl, I called my teacher in my science. Look at a 3-year-old kid's brain. Science teacher ko bula ke laungi. She's the
Hmm.
person that can be trusted to deal with this child, right? And my science teacher, I remember, Mrs. Menon, she was a darling. So I knew that she was someone one could, approach and talk to and say. And she was stunned by the fact that I had chosen her as the teacher too. I remember her patting my head and saying, "Beta, you're very wise for your age." And I never understood it then. Never understood it then. It took so many years later. But look at how that experience marked me. I went back home and I told my mother this. And my mother promptly pulled out one Johnson's and Johnson's, with these perfect women, with these perfect pearls. And those photographs during 90s studios made with that
Yeah.
slight fuzziness and curly hair वाला एक जो हमारी माधुरी दीक्षित and काजोल के gloss posters वाला feel,
Hmm.
this perfect Johnson and Johnson's 90s production, yeah,
Huh.
basically about womanhood and smooth skin and I was like, Mama, look at my feet are full. यहाँ पे scar, यहाँ पे कुत्ते का bite, यहाँ पे कुछ something, and I've never looked like that. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't believe I'm sexy. If I want to be sexy, I'm sure I'll be. But I'm sorry, ये सब मुझसे नहीं होता. तो why is that the only expression of womanhood? You know,
Hmm.
why isn't that extremely muscular? What's that lady? I'm forgetting her name. The athlete who gave Nike a good talking to by raising that shoe brand. Um, she's actually started a whole brand for shoes.
I am
Uh,
forgetting her name now.
it just
Hmm.
suddenly popped out of my head. Why isn't her absolutely muscular form? Why isn't that also a version of motherhood or womanhood, for that matter? So that's my point. Or that absolutely voluptuous woman that actually most men will not stop ogling at.
Yeah.
Why isn't that too another example of womanhood? So that's where I come from in
Hmm.
in this particular. And my mother then started telling me about she मतलब मैं क्या पूछ रही थी. I'd asked her what are these wings, because then sanitary napkins say it wasn't very clear to me either. And I remember reading her sanitary uh, packet packet in the bathroom. I used to love reading in the bathroom. I've grown up reading Enid Blytons and all sorts of things in there. So there was nothing to read, so I started reading that packet, and it said wings. I was like, wings? Why would my mother? Why would my mother need wings? For about 2 days I was, and that too in her underwear. It
Hmm.
just made no sense to me. Like, does she have them fly up from here to the terrace? What's going on here? So really, and then she explained to me. She sat down and she showed me the wings, and I was extremely unimpressed by what those wings were there for. Like, boring. And instead of just letting it go at that, my mother started with, here are ovaries, here is a penis, here is, she drew out, made diagrams. Like, suddenly found myself transformed to grade 9 biology, where my mother decided to, explain everything to me. And I was like, I just asked about periods. Wings. I don't know where you've gone with this. And a few months later, I subjected my poor brother, who was in grade 6 then, and we're sitting in a van. And he made the classic mistake of asking his sister what the word FUCK means. And instead of actually just telling him, giving him, I then started drawing ovaries, and I said, okay, let me taught you what mom taught me. He's like, okay, I just asked what FUCK means. Why have you done this to me? I said, why only me? You deserve it too. But I think it is very important because I see a lot of us struggle
Yeah.
with images and body positivity, especially in this extremely nasty consumerist society.
Yeah. And, talking about, naming the body parts and all of that. And I'm just
Absolutely.
amazed how even older children, like they are so freaked out by, their own body, their own. I mean, I was freaked out by my own body for a
Absolutely.
very, very long time.
I
And,
used to wear my dad's shirts because I didn't like that gaze.
hmm,
And if you, the time at which you start brimming with sexuality and you like that gaze, you're told it's all wrong.
yeah,
It's very strange how we choose to embrace. I mean, you have all these urges. You are told you're not supposed to act on these urges. Then
yeah,
what do you do with them?
yeah,
We don't want to talk about this. But then if kids go and do something with them, then you go and beat them and lock them up, and so I it's something I feel very, very strongly about. And I think like I think I've ticked off कि अच्छा diaper phase हो गया,
Hmm.
सुसु potty वाला phase हो गया, they're toilet trained now. अब we're almost out of the milk phase, which is they're on their milk in the morning. I'm moving them from bottle to glass. Now there's the having your bath on your own. So then this is the phase this to me is the most important one to crack.
Hmm.
If I crack it well, I believe that I at least have two girls who can look after themselves in the face
Yeah.
of a.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we are coming to an end for our conversation. So tell me, Aisha, last question for you. If you could leave our listeners with one insight, one advice, or one piece of truth that you stand by in your parenting journey, what would that be and why?
I think communication,
Hmm.
keeping lines of communication open,
Hmm.
no matter what it is. I am not one for advice because, as I said, I'm constantly second guessing everything I'm doing. But I think communication. You can work through anything in the world with any adults or children with communication. And you teach them to be able to navigate everything that they will ever face in life if you learn how to communicate and communicate the right way.
Right.
Uh, I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's the one we miss.
Yeah.
Uh, the other thing I would say is don't beat yourselves up. I think we beat ourselves up a lot all the time. I don't know about other parents, but I know I certainly do.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I doing enough? I'm not spending enough time. I'm not. And I think the way to again combat that is to sometimes just accept that things are the way they are, and that it's okay. I like my work. I like my work doesn't mean I'm neglecting my children. And I
Hmm.
think mothers face this a lot. We have the whole world telling us how we should be and what we should aspire to. You know, if you're angry and your behavior is, nobody ever checks men about their anger.
Right.
Nobody ever checks men about how they talk. Look at the language that you hear at bus stops or when
Hmm.
you're walking on the street or when you're moving around. But women are not supposed to, of course, have any of these expressions and I wouldn't want to have that. I
Yeah.
mean, that language absolutely vulgar. But my point is that um, we are supposed to be these perfect versions of Mamta.
Hmm.
Like, this equation with Durga. By the way, when I got beaten up in my neighborhood and at the police station the very first time, and it's happened the second time also, the people who beat me up said ये दुर्गा का रूप है. देखो इसमें कितनी हिम्मत, हम इसको पीट रहे हैं और ये फिर भी खड़ी हो गई. काली का एक रूप है. द पुलिस, मिस्टर BS बसी, कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस, टोल्ड मी मैडम आप
आप तो
दुर्गा
साक्षात
है.
देवी हैं।
So, what is this? Why can I not just be a regular human being? And I
Hmm.
think sometimes you just need to remember that it's okay. And I can be a mother and I can still decide that I'm going to work. I can still decide that I will tell my children, Mama is not available from 2 to 5.
Hmm.
This is who you talk to when you need somebody between 2 to 5. I've made arrangements for that. But
Hmm.
right now, you can't talk to Mama between 2 to 5 because Mama is busy. I think it's okay to sometimes say that to children. Also, set them up for very clear expectations.
Hmm.
Uh, and lying, I think, a lot of people wonder where their children learn to lie. And this is something actually my school, the school I sent these kids to, the teachers reinforced uh, for us as well, for me at least. They have parents who will say things like, kids who are cranky going to school, um, बेटा मॉल ले जा रहे हैं बेटा.
Oh God.
So then you wonder where your children learn to lie, where your kids learn to lie. So I say honesty,
Hmm.
and that comes back to communication.
Right. Yeah. Now it
So
says my internet connection is unstable. Anyway, now it's stable. Hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you so much for this conversation, for letting us peek into your world, a world filled
thank
with
you so much.
I love it. Your universe. This is filled with deep purpose and also the dogs and the babies and so much real joy. Your story makes us see the beauty in chaos. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you saying that because that's the I think the one thing I you asked me what I hold on to,
Yeah.
and I think it's exactly this that at the end of the day, I quite imagine that when I'm old and frail, that's how I look at it. When I'm old and frail and not necessarily on my deathbed,
Hmm.
but old and frail and hopefully sitting in my mountain home with a dog curled up at my feet and assessing um, my life gone by, uh, it's going to be a like Kalu, Sheru, Tuntun, Raf, Oi, Lufi, Nisha, Raja. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of dogs, I think, by the end of it, who all have, I mean, in that hundreds, for a moment, don't forget that, like, for me, each of them has a unique story, and I remember it, and people are like, how do you remember? And that's it. They're lives to me. Like how you
Yeah.
remember the hundreds of people that you meet, I remember them. So dogs, I know that's how it is. That's what I hold on to. That I think at the end of it, I believe that it's with all the chaos and madness and trauma and joy and everything all mixed into one, like one nice, mazedar, khatta, meetha, bhelpuri chaat. It will be something that I will savor at the end of it all. And that's what I
Beautiful.
actually hold on to. Thank
Beautiful.
you so much for inviting me. Felt really nice talking about this part of my life because usually it's always about the animals and a very different side and identity of me. I loved actually talking about my kids and how we actually make this chaos work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into Parenthood. If today's episode moved you, made you laugh, or made you feel a little more seen, please share it with a fellow parent. Leave us a review and don't forget to subscribe. This is Neha Garg signing off. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye bye.